In today's Farm Report, spring is mainly for birthing season, but it also includes maintaining an animal health, whether it means giving shots, trimming hooves, or making sure that animals are in condition. Emily Wilmus with the University of Minnesota Extension Service Office talks about a workshop to do just that with lambs this spring.
University of Minnesota Extension will once again be teaching the annual Spring Sheep and Lamb Management class on Saturday, April 4th on the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota. Registration begins at 9:30 and the workshop will begin at 10 and end around 3. Lunch will be provided. Pre-registration is needed in order to plan for food and handouts. This is a great learning opportunity for those just getting started with raising sheep or those that would like a refresher on various topics and skills. The workshop will feature the following topics: sheep industry overview, breed selection, facilities, lambing, reproduction and genetics, disease, and marketing. In the afternoon, participants will gain hands-on experience with giving shots, trimming hooves, tail docking, and inspecting ewes for health status. The workshop will be at the Beef Barn on the St. Paul campus, located at the corner of Buford and Gortner. To register for the Spring Sheep and Lamb Management class, contact Wayne Martin at 612-625-6224 or at marti067@umn.edu. The cost of the workshop is $20 for adults, $30 for a couple or business partners, and $10 for students. Again, the Spring Sheep and Lamb Management class is scheduled for Saturday, April 4th, 2015 on the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota from 10 to 3. If you have any questions, call me at the Stearns County Extension Office at 320-255-6169. This is Emily Wilmus with University of Minnesota Extension.
USDA's March cattle on feed report pretty much reflects what the industry's projections were expected to be. That according to USDA livestock analyst Shale Shagam.
Largely, the report was pretty close to what trade analysts were expecting. Maybe the placements were a tad lower, but still within the range of what a number of industry analysts were expecting.
Cattle inventory on feedlots were down 1% from a year ago, while placements of cattle on feedlots were down 8% year to year. And marketings of fed cattle during February were 2% below 2014 numbers, and the lowest since the series began in 1996.
I think the report largely points to the fact that we are looking at a tighter supply of cattle, which everyone was sort of expecting. That shows up in the fact that we did see some lower placement numbers during the month.
Shagam says of interest was lower placements in feedlots in most weight classes, except for those 800 pounds or above, indicative of tighter cattle supplies. I'm Rod Bate reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Spring is a time of transition, both for producers and animals, as producers get ready to get into the field and animals look to get outside. Emily Wilmus with the University of Minnesota Extension Service Office shares some tips on how to transition well to spring.
Last Friday marks the first official day of spring. We've had some fairly warm days lately, but we have also dipped below freezing some nights as well. Spring brings some big changes to our environments. And what can we do to help transition our livestock? Each change in season presents its own unique challenges, and winter to spring brings some important aspects to keep an eye on. A major marker of winter's exit is snowmelt. Most of central Minnesota has already lost its snow, but keep in mind that wet conditions caused by the snowmelt are still present. Spring will bring wet conditions with it, and wet conditions can lead to all sorts of problems for livestock. Warm, moist environments are optimum for most bacteria. Animals in these conditions are susceptible to a whole host of issues and diseases. The single most important thing you can do is keep livestock clean and dry. This may require adding extra bedding and changing bedding more often. If you aren't sure how much bedding to add or if it needs to be changed, try the kneel test. Kneel down into the bedding. If you stand up with wet knees, that means your cows are getting more than wet knees. Also consider where livestock are housed, like the bottom of a slope. Obviously, buildings can't be moved, but pens and paddocks could temporarily be relocated to prevent animals from standing in mud. Extended periods of time standing in water, mud, or manure can lead to significant hoof issues such as foot rot. Another aspect to consider with housing is ventilation. As temperatures increase, so should air exchange rates. This is done to remove excess heat. Also look at general air quality. Are your animals breathing heavy? Are their noses runny? Now, you probably don't have to worry about your cows having a ragweed allergy, but they should have fresh, clean air. Tying back to what I said before about damp conditions, air exchange needs to increase if moisture and ammonia from wet and soiled bedding makes the space damp and smelly. The easiest way to detect a problem with ventilation is with your ears, eyes, and nose. Do you hear animals coughing or breathing heavily? Can you see rapid nose or chest movement? Does it smell stale and dirty? If you answer yes to any of these questions, then you may need to look at some ventilation improvements. Spring is certainly a busy time, and most time is dedicated to the fields, but don't forget about your livestock. Keeping them dry and comfortable is crucial to keeping them healthy and productive. If you have any questions about livestock management, call me at the Stearns County Extension Office at 320-255-6169. This is Emily Wilmus with University of Minnesota Extension.
That 6-month slowdown at Western ports caused some major losses for agriculture. It's hard to pin down exactly how much, but one estimate is
$1.7 billion in lost agricultural sales, exports out of this country.
Robert Gunther with the United Fresh Produce Association telling a House Ag Committee hearing the immediate money loss. That's just one part of the problem that the port dispute caused and really is still causing.
I know in the fruit and vegetable world, we are seeing losses in customer confidence in the ability to export because of what happened.
He said doing business with a reliable supplier is a big deal for foreign customers, and the port problems really hurt the U.S. reputation in that score. He did say that the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement, TPP, now being negotiated, could help repair some of that damage.
Certainly, a TPP is going to help bring back some of that business.
Assuming the U.S. and the 11 other countries involved can reach an agreement and have it ratified by the legislatures of each of those nations. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.